Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review for the Cougar Attack X3 RGB mechanical keyboard. Now the model in front of you has Cherry MX Blue switches within it, which are very nice in terms of their sound and also just generally their feel. Now, in terms of the keyboard itself, it can be found for around $120 on Amazon USA, both for the MX Blue and MX Red version. It can be also found on Amazon.de for around 122 euros. That makes it sit in the UK for around £100. Unfortunately, it's not available in the UK yet. If it does, I'll be sure to make it in, put it in the link in the description below, alongside the other links that I've found. Now the keyboard I've actually had for quite a few months. It just became in availability, and thus I'm doing the review now. Now the keyboard can be found in also MX Black and MX Brown, according to Cougar's website, which again I'll link down in the description below. It has a rated a polling rate of 1000 Hz. It has onboard memory. It can be set up with up to 30 macros, and it has a 1 millisecond response time. Now the keyboard itself is reasonably well built. It has a USB braided cable. It has two USBs that are ended. It says one is for keyboard function, one is for the keyboard lighting. Nevertheless, I think one of them could be also used for the N key rollover, but I could be mistaken. In terms of compatibility, I think it'll run on any other normal system, but Cougar have it just listed as Windows 7, 8 and 10. Now, it does come across with the Cougar UIX system, which can be downloaded for free through their website, and I found their software to be pretty primitive. It allows you to customize any sort of functions over here, the three profiles over here as well, and the lighting. But what I found is that if I customize the lighting, it would suddenly say disable it unless I reset the profile by holding down the FN and the profile key. So it's a little bit primitive, and I would have loved a little bit more work on this software. Now in terms of the build quality of the keyboard, it hasn't got any sort of USB outputs or audio jacks which are additional, which is a shame. But on the rear, you've got a rubber sort of ends which prevent it from slipping, and it's good to see it on the keyboard riser as well, which is always a nice little addition. Unfortunately, you don't get a wrist rest, and neither do you get a UK layout keyboard or any other layout keyboard. It's a US layout keyboard. I would have liked to see that included. Now they do build upon that they've got an aluminium finish to it, which is right, it's got aluminium finish, but unfortunately the aluminium finish isn't throughout the keyboard, or it isn't on the solid bit. It's just a plating for looks. And the reason I say that, it means that you don't get any keyboard flex, but if I press down hard enough on the key, you can see the keyboard kind of caving in. Now you might think this is a bit weird. Why would anyone be pressing on the keyboard like this? Well, if you're a heavy typist, you'll notice the keyboard start kind of concaving in. It's something that's an issue with plastic keyboards, and is the same issue over here. And my claims are kind of justified by its weight. It's a very light keyboard versus other keyboards out there, such as the HyperX Alloy. Even though it's not RGB keyboard, it uses Cherry MX switches and doesn't have that problem. So it's something to bear in mind if you're going to be buying a keyboard. Now in terms of the feel of the keyboard, I had no sort of problems with it. Cherry MX Blues are fantastic, and those are the key switches which are included, and the fact they're RGB is a added bonus, meaning you can have a nice little fancy light show, as you can see right here. Now without further ado, let me just go quiet and so that you can listen to it. So as you can hear, it's pretty loud keyboard, but what I noticed is the keycaps. Now the keycaps have a slight little wobble to them. It's very hard to explain or even show, but they have a slight little wobble to them. Hopefully you can see that. Now I don't know what the cause is behind that, because it's got a normal Cherry MX stem. The keycaps themselves aren't super light, but neither are they really well built with ABS plastic of sorts, but there is that slightly little wobble. Now I have noticed that with other keyboards out there, so it isn't exactly a new thing, but it does mean that the key switches themselves and the key caps feel a little bit odd. Nevertheless, it is a norm, as I said, in other Cherry MX switches which have like a layout like this, which is kind of like a switches on top of a sort of plastic or even metal frame. So it's something to bear in mind. Nevertheless, I would have just liked a little bit thicker keycaps to be included to prevent that. Other than that, you've got the function keys over here, which can be accessed by the FN button over here. Now, I should mention the FN button is on the left rather than the right, which I found very, very odd. Nevertheless, you can customize this through the UIX system to your heart's content, and you can customize any keys over here. You've got the profile 1 to 3, you've got your lighting button, and then you've got the media keys, which are mute, volume up and down, open up your music player, play, pause, stop, previous and next. All useful functions there. Then you've got the N key rollover with 6K and NK. Then you've got the brightness up and down of your keys. Anyway guys, that is the keyboard in a nutshell. I must say that the keyboard does well in terms of its performance. I've got no sort of complaints from the Cherry MX switches. However, I do have a slight complaint in terms of its price. Now, a lot of people might be saying, well, RGB keyboards come around £100 and around $120 net anyway. But nevertheless, I just feel that this keyboard is missing a little bit. It's either missing a wrist rest, it's missing the fact that it's only available in the US in terms of a US keyboard layout or on Amazon.de, not in the UK. Therefore, its availability is limited. And on top of that, in terms of the software, it's pretty primitive, meaning the overall user experience is pretty poor. Even though you're using it and you can customize these keys, it just feels a little primitive versus its competition out there. Let's say Corsair's software is a lot more intuitive and a lot more user-friendly. Unfortunately, this is not the case with the Cougar. On top of that, in my opinion, Cougar isn't a really well-known brand. People will opt to go for brands that they know. And in this respect, I feel the Cougar have a lot to do. At its price point, it sits pretty much identical to its competitors, meaning that if someone's looking to buy a keyboard, guess what they'll do? They won't buy the Cougar keyboard. In other words, I would have just liked to see this at, let's say, £75 or £80, providing just that little bit of extra gap in terms of price, meaning it would be a better buy. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice keyboard. I just would have liked to see a little bit more, making it something a little bit more special than it currently is. Anyway guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. Make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe, favorite and share as it always helps. And there we go. Take care. Bye bye.